Welcome everyone to our Tagmarshal 4.0 optimization masterclass. This is our third, and today we're going to talk about optimizing revenue with Tagmarshal 4.0. So, as you know, Tagmarshal 4.0 is our new release, and we're very excited about what it's going to do for you, our partners. And our philosophy is always that technology is supposed to make your jobs easier and make you do what you do better, right? So that's always front of mind when we innovate and when we develop our system out further. Today I'm joined again by Craig Clue, our COO and my co-founder. Craig, how are you? You found your camera?
Yeah, good morning, Bodo. Good morning, listeners. Excited to be here. No, I seem to be having an issue with my camera. Apologies for that. I'll try and sort it out.
No problem. And I've got Terence Thornton, who's a PGA member and one of our customer success associates. Terence, how are you?
Doing well, Bodo. Thank you. Thanks, Craig, for having me on here. Happy to be here.
Yeah, no, exciting. Your beard game is coming along heaps and bounds here compared to the photo.
Yes.
You are winning records. Terence, while we wait for Craig to fix his camera, and if he can't, that's fine. We'll keep tracking ahead. Why don't you give us a quick 1 minute of your history in golf and your PGA credentials?
Sure. Thanks, Bodo. So I'm currently in the Louisville, Kentucky area, and that's primarily where I've worked in golf in my career with it. Prior to Tagmarshal, I was the head golf professional at a course here in Louisville called Oxmoor Country Club. Prior to that, assistant golf professional at Persimmon Ridge, and then worked at Polo Fields as well. All current clients of ours with Tagmarshal, utilizing the two-way screens and everything that Tagmarshal has to offer. So got really familiar with the system, with the staff, and enjoyed my time using it. So just decided I wanted to join the team and help other clients use it successfully as well. Just as a quick correction, Bodo, I'm currently a PGA associate in the PGM program in level 2 right now. So not a full-fledged member yet, but working toward it and should be within the next couple of years. So if not sooner, hopefully.
Amazing. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for the correction. Don't claim it. You have to earn the right. How far is your home from Valhalla? As one of our partners since 2017, obviously been in the news this year.
It's about a 15-20 minute drive depending on traffic for me, so pretty
Not
close.
Bad. Do you know the cop who made the news when the PGA Champs happened?
Thankfully, no. I do know one of the detectives on the force, so there's some interesting stories that I got to hear around that time.
I thought it was a prank. Anyway, good one. Terence, thanks for being here. Okay, let's jump into it. One of the things that we always try and do is share and get good people on and share learnings, right? Because we now have 600 partners, and we have aggregated about 10 billion data points from 75 million rounds tracked. So our system gets smarter all the time because we can feed our algorithms, we can feed our machine learning systems, and also we get to work with some of the very best. I mentioned Valhalla now, but there's Hazeltine, Baltusrol, the Old Course at St Andrews, Turnberry. It's a long list of really outstanding partner courses, and obviously they're trailblazers, and also quite a few MCOs. So we always try and aggregate what we can learn and a sense to then distill into our system and bring back to the industry at large. But we need the right people to help us do that, and we're very blessed with a very good success team. Terence is one of them. So today we want to talk about revenue gains and optimizing revenue. So like I said, technology doesn't always have to completely revolutionize how we do things, right? We don't need flying cars to get from A to B. But if we can have a car that gets us there faster and safer, well, that's a fantastic upgrade that technology gives us, right? So we see Tagmarshal as that, something that helps you do what you do really quite a bit better and with more automation, so that you can do what you do best, which is build relationships, create experiences, run your business, right? But the business end game ultimately is to be profitable and to be sustainably in business, and revenue drives the bus. So there's many stories where Tagmarshal has helped facilitate quite significant revenue gains. One of them is Willow Springs. They're in Maryland, a shorter course, and they really dug into the system. Ben is a very astute GM, and they have booked close to $500,000 in additional revenue, and that's really savings on the one side, additional revenue gains on the other side, and spilling over into food and beverage and like really across the operation, and they attribute a lot of that to their power use of Tagmarshal. Another old friends of ours, actually our partners number one, all the way back from 9 years ago, Erin Hills. They have optimized their T-sheet and increased greens revenue by $700,000 a season. Now, for them, that's not the only revenue they can drive, because obviously as a result, they're trying to get heads on beds, and more people out on the golf course means more heads on beds, more meals sold, more Erin Hills caps and polos, right? So it's or golf shirts rather. It's that is only the beginning. And Craig, I know that you've been up at Erin and also worked with Jim and the team quite extensively. Give us one or two of the things that they have done, and we're obviously going to talk about some of the strategies and how to use the system that really worked for them.
Yeah, absolutely, Bodo. I think, Jim's been a client of ours for 10 years now, so he was really on the ground floor with us. And in the early days, I think for them, gaining line of sight was just a complete game changer, right? They've got a massive property. So getting that line of sight really sort of helped. But over the years, they've developed some really notable strategies to help manage both pace of play, but also their guest experience, right? It's more about a consistent flow of play there. And I think some of the key things that they do is they are now optimizing their T-sheet. They're collecting more data in the T-sheet. We go into a strategy a little bit later about understanding who your first-time guests are. First-time guests are a massive opportunity to create a lasting impression, but also it's the first time they're playing the course, right? So they typically could be a risk. So, they've championed that. They've created more recording capacity in their T-sheet. And then the other things they do are just, they've got BME girls on the course. It's a really simple thing, but knowing where those people are and making sure they're around where there's long transitions on a course, because that's when people typically are walking. Good place to give them a drink. But not only do they do that, they have a cart there waiting to transition groups. And I think they make a judgment call. If the group is right on the back of the group ahead, they'll let them walk. And if they're not, they're far behind, they'll transition them. So smart strategies like this to balance out flow, which is really a unique application.
I think they've really proven that change is incremental, right? And improvement's incremental, and every season they get better and better. Like, it's a well-oiled machine, and a testament to them that they've made it such a success. Just a bit of housekeeping. If you have any questions for us as we go, feel free to put them in the Q&A or in the chat. We have our team on standby to answer the best we can. Let's jump into our first section, adding T-sheet capacity. So we've obviously been blessed with lots of demand in golf, and you can always sell your key days, which is great, right? It also gives us the opportunity to crank up our fees a little bit. Or you may have a private club where your members are fighting for time. So what if you could create more capacity? How would we go about that, right? Because it is always possible. There's always ways to do it. Some of those strategies you want to talk about, but it really all starts with early and proactive pace management. And that's why obviously you have all dialed into Tagmarshal. Craig, if I can just call on you just to give us a quick rundown on what that looks like. And you mentioned that line of sight is key, and that's what obviously was a big change here at the Erin Hills, as it is for everyone else. But what are some of those early management principles that need to be applied?
Yeah, so there's a continuous loop, right? And I think you got it displayed here very nicely. It starts from when the player enters the course or walks up to the first tee box. It's the first step is about creating good expectations, and using Erin as an example. They've got a starter who has a starter speech nicely prepared that includes a little spiel on pace of play and how they expect adherence to it. This demonstrates that they care about flow and pace of play and everybody's experience, and they're prepared to have tough conversations along the way to make sure that the whole are having a good experience. So, they're demonstrating competency right there and then. They're also concentrating on getting people off at the right intervals. That's critical, when you're managing a factory line. So why wouldn't the same apply to a golf course? You want to make sure that you are adhering to the intervals that suit your course best. If you start someone too early, and it may just appear that a group has got off the green on the first, and let me start the next group ahead of time. Well, what you're doing is you're locking in a concertina effect later, as that other group moderates their pace and falls into what is their natural position behind the group ahead of them. The other group started too close behind them is going to be problematic. So very important to make sure that your starter is adhering to his intervals. Then once that group's out on the course, you've got to demonstrate that you're willing to follow through on what you said on the first tee box. So you want to show yourself at some point early on in the course. So manage early and accurately. And if you're showing yourself as a marshal, as a competent marshal, and you're popping up and you have relevant and live facts with you in the form of a Tagmarshal tablet, and you can actually show them what you're talking about, and you can have a great interaction with them then you're setting a deeper benchmark. The next point on here is assist, don't police. We try and coach our managers to get rid of the word slow. We talk about position, and a good conversation that is well handled with a group that's out of position it is actually not difficult when you've got said facts in front of you. You can illustrate, you can show the tale of groups that are being impacted by yourself. So if you're handling that conversation in a respectful way and you're not using the dreaded S word, well, you've created a good experience for the group you're talking to. It's not always easy, but there's a way to give yourself the best possible opportunity of being successful. And then the last thing is track your data, measure the outcomes. And if you do that over time and you look for those little incremental opportunities to improve, like I suggested, Jim and the Erin team are constantly doing, those incremental gains are going to build on top of each other. And over time, you're going to see significant gains. And I think that flows through into a lot of the results we'll see here today. So, there really is a strategy, and it's a continuous loop, because what happens now is you've got a course that runs really well. It attracts more visitors who then come and expect the same level of experience. And if you can replicate that day in, day out, you've got a winning formula.
Yeah, thanks, Craig. I think competency is key, right? And this is where pace, and why should we care so much? Well, because 74% of players are saying it's top 3 factor to their experience. So if we want to serve our players, we have to take this seriously. So early problem management strategies, Craig just talked us through some of the principles, and obviously you're all familiar with the Tagmarshal live map, and with Tag 4.0, obviously that has further enhancements. We spoke about that in the previous sessions, where you can customize your interface to show what you want to see that's relevant to you and your role, but also, yeah, so many more opportunities to really live manage in this dashboard and not having to go elsewhere in the system, which obviously makes things more efficient and helps you stay on top of things so much easier. So yeah, get out there early, or send out messages to golfers that are starting to fall out early. The first 3-4 holes, some visibility is great, and problems that you catch on the front 9 are so much easier from a prevention point of view than trying to mop things up on the back 9. So we want to talk about one of those key principles that we have seen our partners deploy with huge success, that we call variable goal times. Craig, I know that you have worked extensively with a team at Pebble Beach and also others to deploy that. Just give us the principles very, very quickly. And this is also actually something that they put on their website and made part of their pre-booking and pre-round communication. Just give us a 1 minute on what the benefit of that is before we show how it's done.
Yeah, absolutely. So the principle is that you can only play as fast as a group in front of you on a golf course, right? We all know that. And we're speaking to golf managers today, and they all know that the early groups typically play faster and faster. Well, they play faster than the groups behind them and the groups behind them. So play evolves through the day, and the morning fields typically play faster than the afternoon. So what Pebble have done is they have made it publicly known as to what the expected goal time is for people playing early in the morning, so that they can get them out quickly and they can lead their field. But they also know that there's going to be a deterioration of pace through the day. So they advertise that as well. And what it really gives their guests the opportunity to do is to decide what level of or what flow that is going to suit them. If they're quick golfers and they want to get through the course quickly, we'll book in the morning. But if they sort of want to enjoy the environment, Pebble Beach is it's a bucket list course, and they want to take photos, they typically book in the middle to the end of the day. And yeah, Pebble have used that as a very nice way to serve their customer base better. But there is actually a lot of science behind this, and there are more opportunities to optimize, which we'll go into in a little bit of detail in the next couple of slides.
Yeah, thanks. So one of the things that we always do is in our reporting that you can obviously request also from our team at any time. We look at what's the course flow, and very often it's what we call sort of a single hump situation. This particular one has a double hump, meaning there's a late morning, a peak in playtime, and this is not very famous, right? Up to 5 hours and 13. That was really early on. I think we tracked about a month and a half of data, and then later afternoon things slow down again over the 4 hours 23. So our team worked with Fossil Creek, and we put in this a variable goal time strategy where we're saying, okay, start your day sub 4 hours, and then have this ratcheting goal time so that you can really have a full effect in the morning. And you also look at interval opportunities around this. And the intervals, obviously, that is your capacity, one of the capacity variables over and above your sunrise, sunset, which is fairly set. But the capacity variable that really it makes a difference in how you can load your course is the interval. And in the past, there were golf courses that used to run 6-minute intervals and create an absolute mayhem chaos scenario out there. And then during COVID, we saw courses run on 15-minute intervals, which is a breeze to manage, right? Amazing. But you are losing 40% of your capacity now, right? You cannot run a sustainable business if you were in the daily fee space, if you were to run such long intervals. So there has to be a sweet spot. Also, what we will advocate, and we'll show you how, it doesn't have to be one interval spec across the whole day, much like it doesn't have to be one goal time across the whole day. So this is now all available in Tagmarshal 4.0 in the advanced analytics. You can see how your day runs from in hour by hour point of view. So you can see you can look at data over time. How does our day start? What's hour 2 like? What's hour 3 like? When are those critical periods where we're going over? And also, what is a reasonable time if we want to really drop our benchmark to start our day faster? And very often that is considerably quicker than your goal time, right? Terence, if I can ask you to just show us what that looks like on the Tag 4.0 back end, and also how to set up these goal times and where you can find it, just very briefly.
Thanks, Bodo. Let me get this shared real quick. So I just want to show how to navigate there really quickly. Can you all see that okay?
Yeah.
All right. So in the sidebar here, we're going to go to how you would set them up first under administrator, the variable goal times. You can see that they've already set up quite a few, and we're going to focus on a couple of these when we look at them in the analytics hub. They have different ones for shotgun, their normal play, those different, even a holiday, Monday, which we know can be a bit slower as well. But to add a new one, it's very self-explanatory. You'll just enter the name to help you recognize it, what you want your goal time to be. And then if you want it always on, you just toggle this. Otherwise, you can set up specific days, specific times. If you want it to run in different time windows on the same days, you just hit this plus and then do multiple criteria there. And just hit save. And then once it is saved, you can activate it at any time, turn it off at any time by just clicking the toggle button here on the left. So from there, we want to see it in the analytics hub under management there. And we're going to show, go back to specific day here. Then you can kind of see the flow here as we're going through the day. So the earlier tee times, they've got the shorter goal time. And then you can see it kind of follows the pace for the day.
Yes. Thanks, Terence. I think that's quite a simple application, right? But we have courses that really take this to another level, and they may have 3 or 4 staggers in that. But you can see also the decision on how we're going to run certain days or certain parts of the day. Like if you have a regular tournament running, or if you've got maybe you're a semi-private club that has a guest play versus member play. Obviously, members know the course. You can communicate a different goal time to them that then frees up additional tee times for your guests, right? If you're playing your members faster. So all of these opportunities exist in it, and it really doesn't have to be a one-size-fits-all 4:30 goal time. Everyone plays 10 minutes any longer because you have these controls. Terence, if you don't mind, I'm going to take the screen back over so we can jump back into our presentation. If I can find it. So a tag 4.0 setup, something I really recommend you start investigate. Success teams available help you also, and you, it's also so easy to try it out, right? What it does for you, and the first port of call is really set up your system like this, and run it internally. You don't even complicate it, just you're confident, and that the quality benchmark is improved. That's when you start communicating that and the expectations with your golfers. And once you've got the quality, you have that lined up, that's really when the opportunities start. Yeah, and the difference between a course that runs to a standard 420 goal time and, for instance, and what they might do if they speed things up for the early rounds, and it really isn't just the first round out. It might be the first 5, the first 10 tee times out that you can do that. Craig, I just want to jump back to you here. Yeah, what the physics of this, right? I mean, you're an avid golfer, and yeah, this is a really beautiful logic if you look at it. Talk us through it quickly.
Yeah, I think, a lot of people out there going, if you narrow interval times, what you end up doing is bunching your groups too close together. So you're going to inevitably create waiting time on tee box. But the truth of the matter, we've tested this obviously quite extensively, is that faster groups who are playing in the mornings cover ground at a faster rate, right? They just basically walk faster. What this means is, in this example, this is Kyo Ocean, I think. The group on the 15 tee box is playing to a 4-hour 20 goal time, and they've got a 10-minute interval set up. But we'll just flick back 2 slides, sorry. Yeah. At a 4-hour 20 pace, with a 10-minute interval, the group ahead is going to be moving at a rate that they're just clearing the landing zone on the fairway as the group behind is approaching, right? But if you flick forward and you go to the faster goal time, and assuming the field is playing faster, well, the group ahead is covering ground faster, right? So essentially 17, 10 minutes with 10 minutes intervals is actually quite far ahead of where they would have been had they been playing at a 4-hour 10 or 20 pace. So what this gives you the opportunity, so if you flip forward another slide, is to try and correct that and go to a shorter interval, which means you're utilizing that extra space that is created from people covering ground faster. So so effectively, by shortening the intervals and utilizing this phenomenon that people cover ground faster when they're playing faster, you really reap the benefits. This can also conversely hurt you in the afternoon. So oftentimes what we see is morning time selling at a premium. You want to sell more morning time, so you use this phenomenon to your benefit. You shorten your intervals in the morning. You sell more round times at a premium price. And then in the afternoon, you widen your intervals a little bit. It's a bit of a Robin Hood strategy, and you give back to the guys that are playing a little bit slow and covering ground a little bit slower. But by increasing your price in the morning, you've actually, and leaving your price in the afternoon the same, you've actually created additional revenue in the tee sheet, even though the same amount of people have gone through the course. So that's a little bit of a variable pricing strategy mixed in with variable interval strategy. All right.
Yeah, so it makes a lot of sense. So what we're seeing the most success is you're tightening your goal time in those critical times in the morning. You're tightening your intervals alongside that. And to give you an example, if your standard green fee is $45 and you're not doing dynamic pricing just yet, this is where you're at, right? You have a set amount of of capacity that you can sell. Okay, good for you. You have now on dynamic pricing, and you know that you can sell your 8 o'clock tea time, your 7 o'clock tea time at twice, right? At twice the rate. But what if you for your goal time and you attract faster players into that, and you also manage things more proactively? The math here at a 10-minute interval is you have 13 tea times available between 6:30 and 9. At an 8-minute interval, you have 18 tea times available. Like so, at a $95 or a $90 rate, that is $100,000 gained a season. And remember that this is highly profitable dollars. This is not just food and beverage dollars, right? Because your base cost to run your operation has not changed in doing this, right? So it's literally like adding 3 more rows of seats. You already paid for the plane. You've already paid for your airport taxes. All you have to do is find the people to fill those seats, and it's basically straight bottom line. So it's super interesting, and you're making more players happy. And we know that you can sell these rounds now, like on a Saturday on your key days. To give an example here, this is Mike O'Reilly from the Whistling Straits, we've worked with for many years. Their goal is always experience improvement, more efficiencies out for their team, and where can we find revenue, right? So they have deployed the strategy and found an extra 800 rounds, right? And again, obviously you pay a royal fee at Whistling Straits. It's very easy for them to make more money, much like Erin Hills. But the key is that a 2% capacity gain actually adds 8% to your profit. So that is super valuable dollars. It's not just any old dollars. And it's you're making everyone happy, right? Because people come off the course happier because your round time has come down for everybody. Everyone has a better time out there, and you're freeing up player time for increased spend, post round, right? And because everyone's happy and you've got quality in your presentation of your course, your net promoter score goes higher, and again that gives you the rights to charge more fees. We've taken that a step faster as well. Further by coining the phrase fast lane golf, where you can really start advertising this, right? Because you can then see our course it's playable in 3 hours 30. Many of our players can do it. If you like to play faster, pick those tee times. And here's some research from the USGA, and they found they're more time constrained, are willing to pay up to 25% more for a faster round. 36% of under 40s are willing to pay up to 20% more for a faster round, right? So really close. And you can then start to advertise it. And the benefit is that you're attracting the right players to this portion of the day. They're going to pull along your field and bring your overall performance up, so that you have the best of all worlds, right? Happier players, more capacity to sell, and a higher quality product. It takes care of itself, but it needs proactive management and also some communication. But is it worth it for an extra $100,000? Absolutely, right? Because you have the resources in place anyway. So here's a club that's done it really well, and to them it was actually worth 85% in additional green fees over the course of 3 seasons, right? So that's dynamic pricing, dialed in with creating additional capacity. But the key is what they're saying. It's all good and well if you charge out a $50 round at 100, but if you don't get it right, you get this, right? People shout at you twice as hard. If you're charging dynamic pricing and you don't get it right in terms of the experience, they will know. Price of round went up, pace was a problem. It didn't work for me, I'm not coming back, right? So they're twice as aggrieved. Whereas if you get it right for them, they're twice as happy, right? They're happy to pay again next week and bring their friends, right? And here's an example where is that post-round sentiment has gotten 20 points better by really upgrading the on-course experience for their players on their number 2 course, and 12 points better on number 4. Okay. Craig, you mentioned this early on in the conversation. We obviously have been blessed with 3.8 million players have joined the game of golf last year and played on an 18-hole course for the first time ever, right? 3.8 million people is a high watermark. How can Tagmarshal help manage first-time players, but also first-time visitors to a golf course?
Yeah, so I mentioned it a little bit earlier, because we saw Aaron Hills and others using the tee sheet in a very novel way, that instead of creating player names, they were creating designations. We actually brought that into 4.0 as a feature. Our data directory allows you to create additional fields that you can mark different groups in the tee sheet. In this instance, what this course has done is they've created a member guest designation. Obviously, you want to treat your members well, but you want to treat their guests better, because after all, that's why they bring their guests to their golf course. And you also want to know, are they first timers at the golf course? And yeah, I mean, simple application of some novel thinking now made easy in the new Tagmarshal 4.0 tee sheet.
Yeah, I think what this really speaks to is repeat play and loyalty, right? And Daily Fee Golf in the US has a blemish in that 48% of first-time visitors to a golf course do not return, right? So it's a huge churn. 52% do return, but 48% don't, right? So if we can cut that in half and get people to come back a few times and bring their friends because we got it right for them, it's a huge gain, right? Because we've spent money advertising and running promotions and getting people to come, or they choose us over a competitor. And if we get it right for them, they come back. If we get it right for them, they're also happy to pay dynamically priced rounds at a high rate. If we don't, that's churn, right? So having a first-time visitor to the course demarcated and giving them a bit of extra attention out on the course is never wasted, but also understanding this is somebody's new to the game. They're obviously going to pose a risk potentially to your day. You need to keep eyes on them, right? And you can also help them have a better experience and make them soft land in the game of golf. Okay. Post-round feedback is something that's baked into Tagmarshal two-way because we want to know at the halfway house. And this is in real time, right? So if somebody's got a 1-star rating because something's not right for them, you can go and fix it for them. And they're not going to throw it around on Facebook or on rate you 1-star on Google, which really hurts and it's hard to rectify. They're going to tell you right then, if they're 5 stars, amazing, thank you so much, come see us at the grill. If they're 1-star, 2-star, have a comment, you can go fix it right then. And that's all they want. They want to be heard, right? So that real-time feedback loop is quite important. Okay, the last section of our episode today talks about media as a cost offset. But I want to remind you again, the dynamic and intervals and goal times and the variable intervals and goal times. The data tells you what to do, basically. But we'd always invite you to chat to our team to have them take a look with you, right? Because they've done this many times and advise you how to get started on it. Can be a bit daunting, but once you get going, you were like, we should have done this a long time ago, right? Okay, so advertising. So we have obviously with a two-way, that is a really nice dynamic way of getting ads out. That you can adjust by, you can even tell stories, right? Or advertise if you do that, right? You can have a story point 1 at the tee box, story point 2 on the fairway, story point 3 approaching the green. You can have advertising set up by time of day, for instance, or it's seasonal. So it's really like an advertising board out on the course can never be as dynamic as something that you can change at the touch of a button and also set up to display at certain times. So it's highly attractive, and obviously it's an easy way to offset costs and then drive some revenue. The other opportunity is to obviously advertise your club's activities or your club's offerings, right? So food is an easy tie-in, and we've seen many clubs also speed up their turn times by advertising food options and getting people to pre-order via the system. Yeah, Craig, have you seen any any feedback here where that's really driven revenue but also saved time? Oh, you're on mute.
My apologies. Amateur. We've seen countless instances of people using food and beverage not only to increase their orders at their halfway house, but also to optimize how long it takes those orders to get processed. I think I can't remember if it was on the webinar last week, but we spoke to how Pinehurst have used. They've actually put a tablet earlier on in the round, and you can order on the 8th tee box, approaching the 9th hole. And when you get to the 9th hole, your order's ready. So that's just another way of doing it if you're not using a two-way system. This is a fantastic opportunity. I think just going back to the media opportunity, though, Bodo, we obviously know that selling advertising on a golf course is quite a unique skill set to have, and some of our managers do it really well. Effectively, they're able to tap into the local resources around them and say, "Hey guys, put your ads on our course," and they can effectively self-manage their own advertising setup. But a lot of managers don't have the time nor the skill set either themselves or on their team to do this, and those opportunities largely go unutilized, and that's why we've created Tagmarshal media department that helps managers or courses that want to leverage this additional revenue opportunity. Will effectively come in and either assist you as a jointly managed effort, and obviously if you're bringing leads and we're bringing leads, there's a revenue sharing opportunity. Alternatively, we'll do it all for you, and we'll share part of the pie, and that's what we call the fully managed opportunity. So this is new. It's something we've been doing for the last 8 months, and we're really seeing a lot of traction. We have a lot of partners who have signed up, and over time, as this grows, I think we'll be able to bring some really nice opportunities to our courses to leverage advertising on their course.
Right, but it is easy to do. Terence, if I can just ask you again to jump in and show the back end and just some of the capabilities very briefly, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely, Bodo.
Terence, you got it? Okay, great.
Yes. Second here. All right, so again, just want to show the navigation to get there. Under the administrator heading, we'll go to the advertisements. And as you can see, we've got a course pulled up here that is definitely utilizing their ads well for sponsorships and different things. But we'll go ahead and just talk through really quickly what you're going to see here. So I'm going to start by adding a new one first. And it's pretty self-explanatory. So the name here, you just want to name it whatever the ad represents, especially if it's an image. If it is a text, that name will show up at the top of the screen. So you can do a text or an image right now. Currently, a video option and a banner option will be available in the future. You can choose for a walker or a cart or both if you have the two-way screens for walkers and carts, but if it's just carts, select cart. Something new in 4.0 is you can actually select multiple locations around the course. for the same ad. So instead of having to do separate ads for each location that you want to run it on, you can do multiple locations at the same time. So that'll help save on that list. And then kind of as before with the goal times, you can select when, what days that you want it to show up and what time. You can add multiple, delete, or you can choose it to stay on all the time. When it pops up, if you want it to make a sound on the screen to alert the players, just click the sound on or sound off. You can select how long it goes, how long it's displayed for, sorry. And then if you're going to choose an image, we have templates that you can download that are the correct size for the screen that you guys have. And then you would just add the image, and then you can link it to your food and beverage menu, like we saw on that last slide, where it said order now, and that'll take it straight to the food and beverage menu on the screen. And then you can also choose now whether or not the players can exit the advertisement. So if you want it to stay for that selected duration, regardless of whether the players tap on the screen or not. So one thing that you can do when you actually go into an existing ad is be able to see the image that you already have in case you want to be able to see it for any reason, or if somebody else doesn't have the file anymore, and you can actually download that file as well. But yeah, that's pretty much the new updates with the advertisement. Again, you can just toggle the ad on or off with this toggle here for it to show up on the screen or not.
Yeah, maybe just to add, Bodo, as well, one of the great opportunities is to build an advertising story as people progress through the course. For example, you may have a local pro shop who are looking to sell a particular brand of golf club as a promotion. Well, you could put the driver on the tee box advert, the fairway wedge in the fairway, and the putt on the green. But there are lots of opportunities to locationally direct advertising. Out of bounds side, well, you need more balls, come to the pro shop, right? So I think it's a powerful tool set, and if used properly, it can be quite rewarding.
Definitely. And like Craig mentioned, we obviously have advertisers at the ready. So if somebody's interested, they can just take advantage of our media offering, and you don't have to do the legwork. You just say yes, and then we send you the check, basically. Yeah, here's an example from the Wizard of Fun herself, Alison George, the GM at Toad Valley. She really knows her stuff and also keeps pushing the boundaries, and they've done a great job. And yeah, you basically get your system for free, right? And you drive some real revenue, but also you're pushing revenue across your operation if you advertising your own internal opportunities. Yeah, one other opportunity, and some of our partners have got TVs up in the clubhouse because they wanted to show the live map. They also want to show some of their pace of play rules and their goal time and so on. So this is also upgraded, and it's also an opportunity to pop in ads or a banner. Because obviously you get lots of visibility, and we have a lot of clubs that add this to their communication, and again it shows competence in terms of we know exactly what's going on out on our golf course, and we also know that yeah, with many golfers, pace of play is perception that becomes reality for them, right? So if they can see outright from the get-go, the goal time at this course is 4 hours 30 and it's currently playing at 4 hours 25. They'll be really relaxed when they play their round out there, even if they have to wait at a hole or two. It really helps manage expectations. And again, players are actually interested and they want to be compliant. And they're never going to not look at it, so we might as well throw in. Talking about quite a few revenue optimization principles, and one of the things that we'd encourage you to do, you can do it with your customer success agent or independently if you ever wanted to. Go to our return on investment calculator on the website. It's tagmarshal.com/ROI. And it really gives you a sort of a sliding slider option setup where you can select and put in some of your data, and then you can calculate those various opportunities around T-sheet optimization, around loyalty and repeat play, around food and beverage improvements that you can generate, around advertising, staff savings. It's really an easy to use calculator. It just takes a couple of minutes, and you can do it with your own data, and then it outputs your opportunity. And like we showed you earlier, many of our clubs are really shooting the lights out with this, of what they can generate for their business. And it's not open heart surgery sort of stuff. It's really just tweaks and better processes and better command around what you're trying to do. Okay, so I think this is the end of our session. If there are any questions that have gone unanswered, or some questions that we might post for everyone, then now is the time. And what I'd encourage you to look out for is our end of season report that our CSAs are working on. We also just released our Tagmarshal 2024 awards, and that's going into the PGA magazine. And a lot of the clubs that we've worked with obviously have had exceptional years again in terms of performance, and we want to recognize and reward them for that. And major host does super well, and a club down the road that has 15 staff has the exact same results from a data standpoint, right? That's exactly why we built the system. That's amazing to see. And yeah, like I said, our team is available. Terence done a wonderful job just showing us a few of the features, and that's exactly what they're happy to do for you. And we're also about to launch a new learning management platform into the new season, so that a lot of these things are automated and available in a sort of micro-learning format. So at any time you want to check in on something, you can do it at any time, but our team is always available to help you. Gents, thank you so much. Really good session, and we know that revenue and making the business sustainable is where the rubber hits the road. That's why we're in business. As much as we love to create wonderful experiences, ultimately we have to make things work on the money front too, and it's good to dial into these opportunities. Craig, Terence, thank you, and everyone who made the time today. We look forward to you checking in with our team, and also we hope to see you at the PGA show, which is now 3 months away. That's when your time is flying, but we'll obviously be there, and we look forward to seeing you. Okay, thanks everyone.